In this video, we're going to discuss how to calculate overtime when an employee works different jobs and gets paid different rates for the same employer. Okay, so this would be like they work in two different departments and they get paid different rates for when they work in those two different departments and they work overtime. Okay, so how would an employer calculate overtime for this? Well, there's three different methods. Okay, they can pay overtime at the higher rate. They can calculate total earnings for all jobs, divide by total hours, and apply overtime premium based on a weighted average. So that's it, second. Okay, I'll show you how to do that. And then, or you could use the overtime rate for the job performed after the 40th hour. So whatever job they're actually working in overtime, that's the pay rate that they get for that. So I'm going to show you all three different methods here. So here's our example. We're going to use the same example for all three methods. So we're going to have an employee that works the following hours in 1 week. Okay, they work job A, where they work 36 hours and they get paid $20 an hour, and then they go and they work job B, where they work 8 hours at $15 an hour. So did they work overtime? Yes, right. How many hours did they work? 44. So they worked 4 hours of overtime. Okay, so let's figure this out in all three methods. So the first method is where we pay overtime at whatever their higher rate is. So in our case, the higher rate is the $20 an hour, right? So let's calculate what their gross pay would be for this. So we've got job A. They're working 36 hours and getting paid $20 an hour for that. So if we calculate that, that's $720. Job B, they're working 8 hours and getting paid $15 an hour, so that's $120. So they've worked 44 hours, and in total so far, we've got $840. Okay. So note that overtime hours are included in this pay, right? But only at the one part. We haven't calculated the 0.5 part because these are just the rates times 1. Okay. So because of that, because we've already used our overtime hours in this calculation, we only need to worry about the overtime premium when we're calculating the overtime rate. So we only need to worry about the 0.5. Okay. So let's calculate what our overtime premium would be. Okay. We're paying at the higher rate. Our higher rate was the 20, so we'll take 20 times 0.5, that'd be 10, right? So therefore our overtime pay is going to be $10 times 4 hours, or $40, right? So therefore our gross pay is going to be the $840 plus the 40, so that would end up being $880. Okay, let's do the same thing, but let's use method 2, which is where we're going to calculate a weighted average. Okay, so again, just to reiterate, we've got job A, 36 hours times 20 an hour, that gives us 720. Job B, we worked 8 hours times 15 an hour, so that gives us 120. Again, we've got 44 hours, and total pay so far, 840. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to calculate an hourly rate of pay. So to do that, we're going to take the $840 that they've earned, divide by the 44 hours it took them to earn that, and we get $19.09. So this is kind of their hourly rate. So therefore, we can calculate their overtime rate, which again, I'm going to do a premium because I've already calculated the one part of the 1.5 in this 840. So I'm going to take my 1909 times 0.5, okay, and that is going to give me 955. So then I can calculate my overtime pay. 955 times, how many hours did they work? 4. So that's going to be 3820. So therefore my gross pay is going to be 840 plus 3820, or 878.20. Okay, and then our third method is we're going to pay overtime at the rate for the job worked during overtime hours. So let's say that they worked job B. If we look back at our example, they worked job B during the overtime hours, okay? So let's look at what our example would be there. So again, we've got job A, we work 36 hours times $20 an hour, so that's $720, and then we work job B for 8 hours times $15 an hour, so that's $120. So again, we work 44 hours. So far, our pay is $840. So now let's figure out what our overtime rate would be. Here, we're using the job work during overtime hours, and I told you that job B was what we worked during overtime hours. So therefore, we're going to use that rate 15 times, again, 0.5. So that gives us $750. So our overtime pay is going to be our $750 overtime premium times 4 overtime hours worked. So that's going to give us 30. And so therefore our gross pay is going to be the 840 plus the 30, so 870. Notice that all three methods give us a different answer. Here this one gave us 870, this one gave us 870, 820, and the first one gave us 880. So how do you know which one to use? Whatever your company decides to use. Obviously your employee would like this one the best, right? But your employer might like paying this one the best. So it just kind of depends on what the employer's policy is.